Kirk Cousins' return to Minnesota did not go as planned as my Atlanta Falcons lost to Minnesota in Week 14. Their reward now is they get to travel even further out west as they are playing the Las Vegas Raiders on Monday Night Football. And very possibly their former quarterback, Desmond Ridder, will be lining up behind center. My name's Tyler, here with my brother Ryan, and we're going to break down this Week 15 Monday Night Football matchup between the Atlanta Falcons and Las Vegas Raiders. But before we get into that, we are 300 subscribers away from our year-end goal of 6,000 subscribers for the channel. Can't even we're shocked. Obviously, I can't even talk. That's even a possibility there. So thank you to everybody that has subscribed. And if you haven't already, let's see if we can hit that goal this week. So hit that subscribe button, leave a like and a comment. Let us know who you think will win this game and why. And Ryan, it's just frustrating being a Falcons fan here. It'd be different if it was like the Bills, where you go into Los Angeles and you play the game of the year and you just fall short. Like, that is what it is, But this one, though, when I just look at the stat sheets and like the thing that sticks out to me the most, obviously, then the turnovers. I'm very well aware now because Greg Olson, pretty sure it's Greg Olson, and the commentators were like, Kirk Cousins hasn't thrown a touchdown in 4 games, but he's thrown 9 picks during that time. So turnovers, more turnovers, 3 turnovers today. The thing that's even then more frustrating than on top of that, 12 penalties for 127 yards. Like that's more yards than the Vikings had rushing. that's how many yards that is. The Vikings had 115 rushing yards today. And to be honest, it's not even like I thought. Like, there are many chunks of the game I thought that we were playing well, like where we had 4 sacks today. It's weird. In 2 games, we've nearly doubled our total number of sacks on the season before the bye, and now we've had near 9 sacks since the bye in 2 games.
Yeah.
So it's like that seems to be playing well, but then all of a sudden, then our secondary would just somehow lose track of Justin Jefferson or Jordan Addison, then they give up a touchdown. And so that was supposed to be the strong point of this defense. Obviously, then offensively, Kirk Cousins is struggling right now. And so everybody in the Falcons Twitter world is, well, you know what they're asking for. So I want to throw it over to you, actually. What's like the first question as the unbiased Patriots fan? What do you think are the Falcons' biggest struggles right now? Do you think it's Kirk Cousins? Do you think it's inconsistency on the defensive side of the ball? Constantly just shooting themselves in the foot, not enough playmakers, because I think that's a problem as well. All the above.
I do think it's definitely a combination of a few things. One, there aren't true explosive playmakers on this Falcons offense.
Outside of Bijan, I will say.
Yeah. But at the running back position, I would say that is he's a really explosive athlete that this offensive line can block for, but it's not like he's running behind the Philadelphia Eagles offensive line like Saquon Barkley is.
Yeah.
And so, like, he is an explosive playmaker, but I think you look, Darnell Mooney is more of a vertical threat who is explosive, but linearly. He's not this, like, super shifty guy. Drake London is a high-end possession receiver. He's not going to blow people away with his speed. Kyle Pitts has largely been a bust, I think, for you guys. And so, like, outside of that, this offense, I think, just struggles there. Kirk Cousins, I think he's had, like, I don't want to say knocking rust off because he's played 14 games now, or 13 games.
13, yeah.
And so, like, he's not necessarily knocking rust off, but I don't necessarily feel like he has full trust in his ankle. Not that he was ever mobile before, but coming back from that Achilles injury, that can be tough. And then defensively, yes, you guys are getting after the passer more. You have 9 sacks in the last 3 games, I believe. But
2 games.
2 games. But with that, you're not keeping contained nearly as much on the quarterback as you were in the first 11 games. So, yes, you're getting more sacks, but I think you go look at some of Sam Darnold's big plays from this past week. He's getting out of the pocket, he's breaking contain, and he's pushing the ball down the field to Jordan Addison and Justin Jefferson.
Yeah, on some of the ones, like on the one, the Justin Jefferson long touchdown one, it was good pass pressure. It was a good job by Sam Darnold to get out of the pocket. But then, like, the big question mark, I'm pretty sure it was D. Alford, but he was a guy that was spinning around and tripped over his feet while Justin Jefferson's 10 yards to his left, and wide open. And to
Yeah.
me, it's like I think he's the only one that didn't do his job on that play on both sides.
Yeah.
Because
But it
you're
only
like,
takes one.
well, oh yeah, no, it just takes the one. But it's in, and it was stuff like that where we just keep making these mistakes. And I feel like it's just time and time again as well. Even going back to last week's game against the Chargers, should have won that game. And like I'm not surprised that we lost this game. It's just the same kind of way that we lost. Just we're beating ourselves. We have opportunities, I think, to shut down this Vikings team or to maybe like stop them, and then we just let them kind of do whatever they want, or we shoot ourselves in the foot. And so that's where I don't know if it is coaching, if it's coming from then like Raheem Morris is shaking the rust off like of a full season now, or then Jimmy Lake, defensive coordinator, is not doing great, but or Zach Robinson, he's like there's something maybe in communication, but it just wasn't a good game overall. I feel like it's been like this now as we've lost 4 in a row.
Yeah, it's 4 in a row.
Is it 4 in a row now?
Hey, but the Raiders have lost what looks like 8 in a row.
Well, that's my concern is that maybe they're due. And it's funny too.
9 in a row.
Thoughts and prayers go out to Aiden O'Connell. Looked like a pretty scary knee injury. Had to get carted off the field. So Desmond Ridder came in and looked fine against Tampa Bay, but also Tampa Bay, I think, was going into prevent mode. Once they had that lead there, just like make sure Desmond Ridder doesn't come back and score on us and make this game close. But Las Vegas, they have some weapons. Brock Bowers, he's arguably could be rookie of the year with the season that he's having. He's already one of the better tight ends in the league. You got Jacoby Myers as well. You got a good defensive line with Max Crosby leading the way as well. Some vulnerabilities on this Raiders defense, but still, like I think it's still going to come down to us. Like we're going to be the ones that decide this game. Are we going to actually step up and like take care of the ball and not false start, not offsides all the time, not have breakdowns and coverages for these big open plays, because these skill position players for the Raiders are good enough to where they can take advantage of that. And it'll be at home on Monday night, an extra day of prep. But if we go in there and do our job, then like I think we can win this game. The only issue is we haven't been doing our job over the past month or so. So
yeah.
But I will say I want to touch on your point though too, and I think that's a very underrated issue that I think the Falcons have right now is our skill position players, and I think that's maybe a sneaky spot in the draft that I think we could go after, potentially maybe in the first round, depending on where we end up falling out, and so. But in Kirk Cousins' defense, and he's not playing well. Everybody that's saying Michael Penix should come in, I think those points are valid. I think maybe it's a little too soon. If you do that once, then I think you got to get rid of Kirk Cousins in general, which maybe a lot of people are fine with that right now. But I said when you do that once, I don't think you go back to Kirk Cousins. So we got to be ready. He's got to be ready for that change. Michael Penix does. But on the flip side, though, too, to defend Kirk Cousins a little bit, Kyle Pitts, there's very little separation that's happening with these guys.
Yeah, it may not even be. They just might not be on the same page. Kyle Pitts is a freak athlete, but as far as like football IQ and that, I don't know if he's on that same page in that offense. That's unless you're in that room, it's really hard to know. But this offense just looks a little out of sync right now.
Well, they've done better running the ball. Bijan's really stepped up over this past month and a half, 2 months. So that's a good positive. And whenever there are these changes in offensive coordinators, it might take people some time to get used to the new system. So there's a new coach, there's a new quarterback, new head coach, new offensive coordinators, a whole new system coming in for these guys. So maybe that's part of it. But even to outside of that, though, Kyle Pitts, he hasn't been playing well enough and isn't good enough to then be like the big red zone threat because we're struggling in the red zone. I know we had a couple of red zone touchdowns today, but I feel like those are kind of few and far between. At least feel like during this losing stretch. Drake London is that possession guy, and he's a big enough guy in the red zone where we've seen him be effective. But then a shifty guy like Ray McCloud, but it's more reliable, it's just a guy that we don't have, a guy that Kirk Cousins can lean on. And McLeod, it stinks. He played well today. He had that fumble when it was 28-21, and then the Vikings went down and scored a touchdown to make it 2 touchdowns, and pretty much insurmountable to come back from. But he just hasn't been around enough throughout the season, I think, to be consistently relied on. And that's what the Falcons are missing. They're missing a Josh Downs. They're missing who's your Patriots receiver?
Demario Douglas.
Yeah, we're missing a Demario Douglas. We're missing Tyreek Hill. And I know that especially Hill is very specific, but even let's go look at the Vikings who we played today. Yeah, you have Justin Jefferson as number 1 receiver, but then you have Jordan Addison, who is another kind of do-it-all type receiver as well. Not nearly as good as Justin Jefferson, but he's still really good. He'd be a number 1 on, I think, a lot of other teams. And we're missing that guy for Drake London, and we're missing that guy for Kirk Cousins to lean on. And it's great. Like earlier on in the season, we were all playing well, or like the stats were coming in, but we were still also just barely winning these games. Our record could be a lot worse than 6-7 right now.
Yeah,
it could be better technically because of the games that we've blown, but it's just very concerning overall because we put all our chips in the middle. We don't have that many draft picks. Our cap space is okay. I think we're sitting at, last time I checked. No, it's not good. As of Halloween, about $10 million in cap space. So it's like, I've already watched a lot of bad football over the past couple of years, and now I want to be watching good football. And so I do watch good football because of this job. I watch a lot of other teams do really well against my Falcons. So I watched good Minnesota Vikings football today.
And not to like put fear in your eyes or whatever, this is a Raiders team that I think could surprise you. They have some explosive playmakers on the offensive side of the ball, led by Brock Bowers. You mentioned Jacoby Myers. Trey Tucker's another one. They also have Michael Mayer as well. Like, they have some good playmakers on that side of the ball. They don't run the ball all that great. Alexander Madison is their leading rusher with only 320 yards, so I'm not super worried about that. But I go back to teams that you guys have struggled with and go back to that Pittsburgh Steelers game. And I know that was week 1. The team was just getting started, but I remember what TJ Watt did to this offensive line, and it was borderline criminal. And I look at what Max Crosby can do in a game and how he can take over. It does remind me a little bit of that. And then you throw Christian Wilkins in the middle there. I just think it's a tough matchup, I think, for you guys in the trenches. And this offensive line for the Raiders isn't great, but if they can keep Desmond Ridder clean, and you guys don't keep contain on him, because he is a good athlete. That was one of the few things I think he actually did well in Atlanta was run with the football. So I think like this is a game where the Falcons have to show up and play well. Also, you look at the last few weeks for the Raiders; they've been in some close games against some decent teams. I know today was the 2-score game, but they played the Chiefs 2 weeks ago, and it was 19-17. Actually, the same score as this Raiders Chargers game from Sunday Night Football.
Chiefs Chargers game,
Chiefs
Chargers game,
and so like they're playing a lot of these teams closer and closer as this season has gone on. So this is a game I definitely think your Falcons need to be prepared for. Let's get into predictions here. I'll kick it off. I'm going to go with your Falcons. I think they're the better team here. They should win this game. Could I potentially see the Raiders coming out ahead? Yeah, if the Falcons just come in here and completely shit the bed, but I like the Falcons in this matchup. I think they can come out on top.
I'm going to go with the Falcons as well. I think we're going to be running the ball a decent bit against them, trying to limit on some of the mistakes. And so, but I agree with you though. Like, this is absolutely no slouch. It's going to be a road game as well. Not really like the Falcons have traveled particularly great anyways this season. But we need this one, and Tampa Bay, they're playing the Chargers this week as well. And so that's going to be like their toughest game remaining. And so we got to win this one. If we win this one, they lose, then we're back to controlling our own destiny because we have the tiebreaker with the head-to-head. So,
and you guys have an easy-ish road out. So you have the Raiders this week, then versus the Giants, at Commanders, which is a tough one, and then versus the Panthers, who have been playing pretty well. So not like awful opponents, not cupcakes, but not awful.
Yeah. To what you were saying though is like technically, yes. Like the Giants, I'm not too concerned about, but they have a good defensive front. You never know. But the Panthers game, I'm worried about because the Panthers have been playing really well. But we'll see. Just one game at a time. Let's win this game, and then we'll go from there.
Yeah. So let's go ahead. We'll wrap this one up here. If you guys have not already, please go ahead and like and subscribe. It is the best way to help out the channel. While you're down there, go ahead and leave a comment on who you think is going to come out ahead. Will it be the Atlanta Falcons? Will it be the Las Vegas Raiders? And other than that, we will see you guys next time.